everyone. Welcome to this week's installment of 52 Licks. We're starting a new month, and what I'm going to do from here on out is I'm going to actually try to take a different focus to every month. This month we're going to focus on up-tempo phrases, so everything we cover this month will be designed to be played fast, and every month we'll kind of rotate. That'll give us a little bit of a theme to work with. The phrase we're going to break apart today is from Louis Hayes. He's a phenomenal drummer that I don't think enough people know about, or if they know his name, they don't know his playing as well as they should. Louis played with a bunch of greats, but he was a longtime drummer of Cannonball Adderley, among many others. He also teamed up with bassist Sam Jones. Those two were kind of a rhythm section. The same way that Philly Joe and Paul Chambers were a rhythm section, so was Louis Hayes and Sam Jones. So we're going to look at a lick he did off of a Cannonball Adderley record, actually. It's off of it's a pretty long title. It's the Cannonball Adderley Quintet in San Francisco, live at the Jazz Workshop. That's the name of the album. You can probably find it under Live at the Jazz Workshop or Cannonball Adderley Quintet in San Francisco, or that whole really long title. It's off of Bohemia After Dark, and the studio version of Bohemia After Dark is probably somewhere in there. But by this time, Cannonball had it pretty up. It's probably somewhere up there tempo-wise. It's pretty burning. And toward the end, they start trading some with Louis, and then eventually Louis takes a couple choruses himself. While he's playing, plays a whole bunch of great phrases, but one, I remember a while back listening to this, one jumped out at me. I thought it was super hip, and it's there's a little technique involved, but it's a fairly simple phrase, and I like that it stuck out of all the like kind of bebop-y things that he plays, which all sounds good. Sometimes we can string together all these kind of bebop-y rudimental things, and they run together and kind of blend together. And if we're not careful, we'll sound like one of those horn players just stringing bebop licks together. So for me, I'm always on the lookout for little phrases that fit in that vein, that break that up some, and this is one of the phrases. Very slowly, take it about this tempo. It goes like this: 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Pretty simple, just triplets, right? 1, 2, 4, like that. 1, 2, 4. So with that phrase, I believe that the sticking is just alternating: right, left, 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 right, left, right, right, left, 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 right, left, right. There's a couple of possible alternate stickings. An alternate sticking, if that makes it that's difficult for you, is you can double that left and play and basically have the accents all be in the right. Right, left, left, right. Right, left, left, right. But the way he plays it, to me, has a little more oomph to it, and I'm pretty sure it's singles. Like that. However, they both work. And remember, we've talked about this before. You can mess around with the sticking. Maybe you want to play that phrase, and it's a pretty quiet solo that you're taking, and you don't want to necessarily muscle that out. Then that alternate sticking of right, left, left, right has its place too. So I'd practice both. See if you can't find some other ones. Now, to me, there's a little technical issue to really make that come out clean. One of the things when we're moving around the kit is making a clean transition from the floor tom to the snare drum, or from the rack tom to the snare drum. I'm a big believer in making contact in the center of the head, as opposed to hitting, a lot of times we kind of cheat and we'll play to the edge of the snare drum or the edge of the floor tom, and we get these kind of less than optimal sounds. So the way I think of it in terms of that transition is I'm going to play either kind of the American grip, which is kind of halfway in between, or maybe overhand or German grip. And then I'm going to try to keep from my shoulder all the way down to my wrist still, and just rotate over into French grip. Like that. This hand obviously stays the same. That way I got a pretty easy target practice. I know when I'm moving my hand back, since all this is in the same spot, I should, no matter what, keep hitting right back in the same spot, which is the center of the drum, and the same thing here. There's obviously a setup thing there where if you're going to try to employ that technique, you want to make sure early on as you're setting up that just kind of make that quick little wrist turn and see if that doesn't line up for you. I don't always play it that way. There's a lot of reasons why my grip would change, and I would kind of use a grip that would maybe flow. But this kind of thing where I'm trying to move quickly between the two drums, I'm definitely going to use that kind of technique where we're just kind of rotating the forearm or rotating the wrist over. To me, that helps clean it up. Work on your 4-stroke roughs, because that's really what it is, right? Right, left, right, left, right, left, and then left, right, left, right. After you get comfortable with that, one thing I did is I tried to move that around. You could, do it in the, put it on the cymbals. That's kind of, in my opinion, I got that kind of sound from Tony Williams and definitely Louis Nash. That kind of stuff, same phrase, right? 4-stroke rough, also works at that fast tempo. Also, just move that other left to the rack tom, so we get same sticking. Gives you some other different sound options. Love that phrase, right? Which is, or move all these little things around the kit. Great phrase. Check out Louis playing it, Bohemia After Dark. And this will be the first of a handful of up-tempo licks that we'll focus on. All right, enjoy.